Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snowfell Charm School, where we use tarot cards to analyze personality and use personality to analyze relationship dynamics. One day I'll get that intro down, but things have been changing really quick lately. What else was I gonna say? I'm your host, Evangeline, and I'm going to start off with doing a routine security check. If you don't mind, if you do mind, I would leave now. Yeah. The security check is just to make sure that you're bringing the appropriate energies to our classroom. Yeah, I'm gonna start by brushing around your face, and then I am going to work towards your stomach. I'll let you know when I need you to do something. Other than that, just hang tight. So I'm gonna start with your face. I'm gonna do your third eye and your mouth this time. If you don't mind lifting your chin, I'm gonna do under your chin, the neck area, the collarbone, and the shoulders. Alright, and I'm just going to polish all that up. Third eye, mouth, under the chin, thank you. The shoulders. Alright, perfect. Now if you don't mind, I'm going to have you spin around for me. Alright, and I'm going to brush off the back of your head. Behind those ears. The neck, down the spine. And a little of those shoulder blades. Okay? Gonna polish all that up. Around the head, the neck, down the spine. Sit up for me. Thank you. Maintain that posture. Let me get the shoulders. Alright, if you don't mind spinning back around for me, I'm gonna finish up by brushing around your heart and your stomach. So activate those abs. Perfect. I'm gonna polish that up. All right, wonderful. Okay, let me get in a more dignified sitting position. I don't know why. It's just comfortable to sit like that sometimes. I'm going to start by offering you a bit of refreshment. We have a delicious, salty rose popcorn. Delicious. Or chips, since they look like that. I'm gonna put this to the side. You may have as much as you like. I'm also going to offer you something, a very, very sweet candy. A little bit goes a long way. Lots and lots of sugar in here. But again, you may have as much as you like. And I'm going to offer you a beverage for you. I'm gonna leave this right here for you. This one is for me. All right. I am going to, so what we do here, if you don't already know, I guess I'm going to have to start doing my intros as if you haven't been here in case like new people show up. What we're going to do is I'm going to lay out a case study with the tarot cards. So we're going to get a client from there, and we're going to assess them for a personality trait, and then we're going to talk about how that personality trait relates to the other personality traits as far as friends, families, and lovers go. Friends, family, and lovers go. Yeah, this is about, the whole reason why we do this is radical acceptance, 444 when I said that. We are not trying to eliminate a type of personality here. We're trying to accept, be grateful for, and align a personality type, okay? The last one I did was a I did narcissism already. The last one was also narcissism. So I have 2 narcissist videos under my belt. We could get a repeat of some other personalities that we've already done. The ones I've already done are obsessive, stable, schizoid, borderline, and I'm feeling, avoidant. So if you are any of those, or if you're in a relationship with any of those, feel free to check out those videos on my channel. They're well labeled, unlike some of my other videos, which are labeled only by number. But you can check out, they'll say whatever personality review on it, you know. These are all general love readings, okay? So if you do want to take any of these readings as a tarot card reading, as far as like kind of giving you confirmation on things, maybe a little bit of insight into the future, usually a lot more insight on the past, you're willing to do so, but we're using the tarot cards simply as a tool for, as a talking point, basically. All of my assessments are based off the Big 5 personality assessment and the DSM-5 personality disorders. There are 10 of those, but I have a 12 personality system, okay? So I've added 2 more, but I didn't really add them. I just recognized 2 more that are, you know, reasonably not in the DSM-5, because I don't know how the 2 that I put into my system would translate into a disorder. Actually, you know, I could see stable being I could see an extreme of stability, extreme of stability being a type of disorder in which you cannot function in the world. And I think that would be like an exceptional lack of enthusiasm as far as a disorder is concerned. Like inability to stand up for yourself. Like that would be, I don't think people consider that a disorder, because people kind of like that in other people, mostly people who like to take advantage of other people, which I can identify as a particular group of 3 personality types that I think would enjoy that. Besides, our American culture kind of likes that the stable personality seems like a good worker, as far as like keep your head down and do your work kind of thing. So I can see why people, like if that became an extreme thing, like you become like kind of like a workaholic, but you're not in charge of anything, where you spend all your time at work, you don't go out, you just go home, blah blah blah. It's almost like shut-in energy, but almost. But schizoid kind of covers the shut-in part. The stable part isn't a shut-in per se. They do hang out with other people, they do like interacting with other people, but they just don't, they can't really stand up for themselves. Yeah, so we don't consider that a disorder here. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. Oops. got this one, and this one. Put that there. That one. This one. Here. I'm trying not to cheat and see a personality that's, there already. I like to do it together. Excuse me. Where'd you go? Okay. Oh, okay, cool. All right. So the bottom of the deck is going to be the Elder Pentacles. It has a yet. The bottom of the deck has a yet to be a signifier of anything. Hasn't even been much of a talking point. So let's get into it. Our client is going to be represented by the Ten of Swords, someone who's rather defeated. This is interesting. No idea who that could be. It could be schizoid, maybe. It could be schizotypal, tipple. Anyway, could be dependent, maybe. Not sure. Yeah, let's see. That's the only one I can think of so far. As far as a base goes, this is going, they're going to have like relationship issues. So I'm getting maybe a little bit dependent. I don't know. Like this is all right. I'm just scanning. This seems like an interesting one. We also have the Adolescent of Pentacles. So this is going to be extroversion with conscientiousness. So this is someone who's going to be mindful of what they do. Yeah, it's going to be someone who restrains themselves a lot, holds back a lot. So yeah, this could be dependent. Suggesting low extroversion, and this is suggesting high agreeability. So we also have on one side, we have the Ace of Pentacles above the Child of Swords. So this is someone who is like, yeah, kind of interested in emotions, very or has a hard time describing their emotions, has some type of well, not necessarily a hard time, but well, I guess because it's a Child of Swords, they're open to emotions. They could be rather sensitive. So again, it could be a dependent. Last time I thought it was a dependent, though it got switched up. So let's keep going. We also have the Four of Swords with the Child of Pentacles above. So this is someone open to organization, settled in their thoughts. So this is someone who kind of I guess is someone who takes what they can get. They make do. So yeah, this could be very dependent. On the other side, on one side, we have Death and the Four of Cups above. So this is change and boredom. change, thinking of boredom, thinking of being settled. Like this is someone who's unsettled all the time, maybe. And we also have on the far side, on the other side, we have the Lovers with Judgment above. So this is ooh, I mean, this is giving me a little bit like ooh, yeah, maybe a little bit like criticism of how agreeable they are. So yeah, I'm getting that this is a dependent. So woo, we got a new one. We got one we haven't done yet. Woo. Um, I would say, let me just grab my notes here. I would say that a dependent is, let's see. Now, I guess I'll say this. The dependents are rather popular, either to pretend to be, to use, or to be kind of feared. The dependent personality is one that is rather known. If you are watching this and you're, you know, if you're watching this and you have been described as a dependent, that's going to be interesting. Okay, I'll say this. Sometimes people force other people to be dependents. Okay, so just because you identify as a dependent right now doesn't mean that you are, you know, use your discernment. Just because someone has described you as a dependent or in similar ways, dependent adjacent, it doesn't mean that could be just what they wish for you to be, or they try to emphasize this in you. People like to do this a lot with, I would say, borderline, histrionic, and social. They tend to do that a lot with those. So, a dependent is going to be really, really good at promoting oxytocin, and I would say serotonin. Because I would definitely say serotonin because they are very, how would you describe, accommodating. They're very accommodating. So, you know, they'll offer you food, something comfortable. They want to make sure that you're comfortable. A dependent uses this in order to establish an attachment. As the name suggests, that they are dependent on their relationships. Very codependent, especially when it gets into the level of disorder. I saw 1818 when I said that. I do think that the the Ten of Swords describing the dependent is a little harsh. They're very martyr, not mortar. Mortar is something else, like stone and mortar. I mean, you do hold things together, if I'm using that word correct, but very much at your own detriment. It's very different than borderline does. Borderline and dependent do very similar things as far as being accommodating, but a dependent is accommodating to their own detriment, and a borderline expects some type of, usually, oxytocin in return. They're very good at oxytocin. I mean, they're there to listen. I mean, they will listen, and if you do give them a chance, they will talk about themselves. They'll usually talk about, well, they'll talk about themselves. You can be a positive dependent or a negative dependent. If you're a negative dependent, then you'll talk about how, like, let me turn this way. If you're a negative dependent, you will talk about like how you have been done wrong. If you're a positive dependent, then you'll talk about like your hopes for the future, or something like that. This is the I mean, you are submissive by definition. Um, Again, if you're a dependent and you don't identify, I mean, if you're a dependent and you identify as submissive, it doesn't mean that like it's not the same thing as like top or bottom. If you're part of the LGBT community, you can be what they call like a service top, or you can be a sub, like a submissive. Um, so yeah, it doesn't mean that you're feminine. You can be masculine in this, but you are very like well, like dependable too. I do think that yeah, I can see I could see people getting a dependent male mixed up with a dependent masculine mixed up with a borderline masculine. They can present very similarly. It is just it's just their kind of reaction when things go wrong. If a borderline is done wrong, they'll blow up on you. If a dependent is done wrong, then they will they will self-harm in some way. It doesn't actually have to be like physical, but they'll say like, oh, I am such a terrible person. No, I really should have. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm just so stupid. Something like that. um so if you resonate to that, I do feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like I don't know, I want to you poor, I mean, I don't know how to, I really don't know how to react to you. um because I don't want to pity you, because I don't believe in victims, but that's just my personality type. And I don't want to be hard on you because you're hard on yourself. So you know so I am a little bit at a loss. um um I would say that uh, the lack of dopamine, which is going to present itself in a form of confidence, will keep you a little bit away from having a soulmate type of relationship. Because your existence is dependent on someone else's reaction to you. So I mean, you know, you, it's kind of hard to describe. Um, a soulmate is, oh man, I don't want to describe it like that because that sounds mean. Um, but I guess I'll just say it. Well, no, I'll just move on to something else. I don't want to hurt your feelings. As a dependent, you can be. As a dependent, you're going to work really well with you're going to work well with you're going to be. I wanted to say you're going to be appreciated by a narcissistic personality, antisocial personality, and an obsessive personality, but that's not exactly true. You're going to be like, I don't know about appreciated. You're going to be they will utilize you. How about that? They will utilize you as far as, I mean, a dependent with another dependent will be, I think you guys would be, do you guys do that? A dependent with another dependent? If you're a dependent with another dependent, that's kind of like, that you can get pretty, you can be pretty close that way, with so much oxytocin between the two of you, and the serotonin. It is going to be like, bestie, little sibling-ish, I guess. Or, I mean, it could be a romantic partner, but you're going to be very like doting of each other. I would, I would recommend, depending on what, I mean, if you are a dependent who likes to be dependent, and there's plenty of dependents who do, um, a narcissistic, antisocial, or obsessive personality will emphasize that in you. Um, they'll take an opportunity to put you down or make you seem like you're not like important or part of what's going on here. If you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. Um, I would say, like, a dependent, I would stay away from borderline. It's interesting. If you're a dependent and you're in a relationship with a borderline individual, the borderline is definitely going to see you as a victim, all right? They're not going to see you as like, they're going to see you as a victim. And if they try to boost your confidence at some point and you do not follow through with that, they will blow up on you and make you feel really bad. So I don't suggest it, because if you're a dependent and you like to stay that way, then you are going to stay that way. And that's probably going to be frustrating to the borderline. I wouldn't do histrionic, because they're not going to. I don't think, that's not going to work. A social. Yeah, this is interesting. I didn't think the dependent was going to be like an interesting one to talk about, but it is a little bit interesting because I'm not sure exactly what it is that you want to do. I think a dependent wants someone, kind of wants someone to tell them what to do. A dependent and a schizotypal would be very interesting. I think that if you're a dependent, and you would be interested in doing like kind of weird random tasks that make no sense to you, then I think that you and a schizotypical would be very, I think that would be very compatible, compatible, not compatible. You as a dependent are not going to be compatible at any point, it seems. Um, yeah, I think you and the schizotypical would be kind of like a good romantic situation. They're going to see you as rather special, be, because they have a different type of perspective on things. Um, and because you're going to be so willing to help them with their like kind of like journey through this world, the schizotypical is kind of like interested. It's very much like the aluminum foil hat type of things. Again, nothing I say is a critique, it's a celebration. I am just trying to describe it the best way I can through my perspective. My personality is different, and is different. It's different than the dependent. It's different from the schizotypical, but I think the schizotypical is going to be very interested in like kind of fighting off the matrix. Yeah, they're going to be like very new. Like, well, I do think that a dependent and a schizotypical is a little bit like, it's a little bit like cult leader ish, but they're not. The schizotypical isn't using you. They are. You just kind of like build. You like run off of each other, and so the schizotypical is going to get a lot of confidence in like what they believe it's happening around them, and you as a dependent are going, you're going to enforce a lot of that. You're going to be, as a dependent, you're going to be very enabling for the schizotypical. So that could be cool if you want to go down like a roller coaster ride of life. It's not going to be very stable. And that's okay. No one not everyone has to have a stable relationship. I don't think that, I think a bit of excitement is good. if you do want a very chill and comfortable, very stable situation, then I will go with the with another dependent, or yeah, another dependent. If you want to emphasize your kind of like meekness, if you really are in love with your submissive side, then I would say I would definitely go with an obsessive over the other two. The antisocial will kind of hurt you for fun. So with a narcissist, except the antisocial will do it physically, and the narcissist will do it like mentally, emotionally, emotionally. Um, but you know, you could be very much into that. You might have a humiliation kink. If you do, I would say the narcissist. If you have like an impact kink, then antisocial would be a good one, especially if you're one that doesn't have too many. If you're a person who, I do suggest everyone have a safe word, but you know we're all adults here, and if everything's consenting or whatever, you can just you know you can decide to not have that. Well, I mean, if you had a safe word with the antisocial might push you to use it. That's very dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna be very clear with you. That when you're in a relationship dynamic like that, the goal isn't to have you say the safe word. It's you know that's gonna be like your emergency escape button. You're not supposed to be pushing it all the time. All right, I don't. You might need to know that, so I'm here to tell you that. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, I would definitely go with the obsessive. If you're into humiliation or impact play and you want to be safe, I would go with the obsessive. If you're not concerned about being safe or maintaining your self-esteem or your mental health at any point, a narcissist will definitely ruin your mental health, and an antisocial will definitely ruin your physical form. Um, so the choice, you know, you have options. Options. I would, as a responsible adult myself, I would say go with the obsessive. That's going to be like a strict partner. They're gonna tell you what to do, how they want it, but they're not going to push you to the edge because the obsessive has limits, right? The obsessive has limits. Yeah. Um, a dependent and stable could be very nice. Stables is a good partner for lots of people. There's not a lot of dopamine there, so if you're a dependent who is not looking for dopamine, then I would say go with a stable personality. Again, if you're looking for the dopamine, I'll go with obsessive. Yeah, yeah. Let's pull some gratitude cards so that we can get appreciation for our dependents out there. Just has me thinking about some people. I think it is something that I think that as far as the LGBT community goes, I think that there is a lot of pressure for bottoms to be a like have a dependent essence to them, a submissive essence to them, and I think that can be really like that can be that could be dangerous, harmful, as well as disregarding of like your of of someone's personhood just because they like a particular type of sensation. So yeah, just because you identify as a bottom, whether, male, female, whatever, however you want to do it, that doesn't mean that you're dependent, and it definitely doesn't mean that you are a no limits type of submissive. I think as far like, yeah, when dependence gets into disorder level, it gets to a no limit type of energy. But this, everything I talk about is a spectrum. It's a spectrum of personality. You can get really extreme, you can be really mild, but you're going to fit somewhere in the spectrum of one of these personality traits. But I do think that that's why people talk about like power bottoms and things like that, to give a little bit more room to that. But I think it's even more of a spectrum from that. It doesn't have to, there's, it's not only two options of bottom or dependent, or I guess there's no two options of bottom. It's not dependent, and it's not like, power bottom, which I guess could be narcissist, could be antisocial, could be obsessive as well. If you're you could be a dependent top and then have like an antisocial bottom. And I would say that the antisocial bottom would lean a lot into brat as well. I talked about narcissists being a bit of a brat. You could have a narcissist brat, if you're a service top, or like, a dependent that is a service top. I want to pull maybe one more card. I think a thing about dependence is they're a little bit, oh, that's okay, that's good. They're a little bit of like, they get the rap for having a pick me energy. So when I'm talking about like partners and things like that, I think it's going to be a little bit more of like sorting out who's approaching you. As a dependent, you are going to have a lot of people approach you, that's for sure. But they are going to test your limits, whether they say it blatantly or not. They want to know how like useful you are. So if you feel like someone's crossing your boundaries, and you're tempted to let it go, just be mindful that they're going to push it even further. So you're going to have to decide when you want that to stop. If you want that to stop, you could be, like I said before, you could be a no limits type of energy. Oh, I was only going to pull one. Okay, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Sun. So yeah, you are kind of like looking for, I would say like you're kind of, I guess it depends on who you are. I do think that, I don't know, from my experience, from my community background, it seems like you're looking for a soulmate through a dopamine avenue. And I think that makes sense due to your personality makeup. You're able to provide lots of serotonin because you're very accommodating, and you're able to provide a lot of oxytocin because you're really available. So the only thing you are missing is dopamine, but I think that dopamine is going to come, well, yeah, you could play on, your sex appeal, and that will definitely, with the combination, you would I would definitely suggest that you filter out your choices there. To add the dopamine to your facade is going to make you like a kind of like a big old shiny beacon for lots of high extroversion, low agreeability. That's going to be the narcissist, the antisocial, and the obsessive. So definitely choose between which of the three that you're looking for. If you're looking for a schizotypical, it kind of doesn't matter what you look like or whatever. It depends on the schizotypical. You know, the schizotypical type of, you know, like it's going to be based off their perception, whatever it is that they can see. Because their perspective is going to be vastly different than the rest of them. They're a little bit of the wild card when it comes to my 12 personality chart here. So yeah, I would suggest that you might elevate your extroversion, but if you do that, then you'll end up somewhere in if you level up your extroversion, you work on your confidence basically, you'll end up in another of the three personality types, and that's going to be borderline, histrionic, or social, depending on depending on how much you do it. If you work on your confidence and you start really running with it, and it becomes like kind of like your focus, like you're still like a really accommodating, nice and agreeable person, but if you emphasize your extroversion to a certain to at the highest level, you'll get into histrionic. If you raise up your extroversion and it's a good level, but your agreeability is still really high, you're going to be borderline. So then, you know, so that's where your confidence is gonna start showing up in like aggression and frustration towards your partner when they're not receptive of your efforts. The histrionic one is going to be, you're going to be very like showy, very almost inappropriate, a little bit vulgar, very like attention seeking, you know. Hint to all you as to what personality type I am. If you do social and it turns out rather even, there's no priority on your confidence and there's no priority on your accommodating ability, you'll end up in social. So that's a kind of a nice place to be. So you know, you'll have an outside life. You know, your whole life won't be your other partner. You'll have friends, passion, career, whether that's, you know, a 9 to 5 or a creative outlet or something like that. You'll have like a passion for something. Yeah, you know, it's kind of the stuff everyone says all the time. You know, if you're definitely working on like your self-image, yeah, I would say your self-image, your passions, what makes you feel successful on your own. I think the more you work on that, the more you'll get into the social personalities spectrum, and then you'll have a lot more. You'll have a lot more. I don't want to say like avenues, but like your soulmate percentage will go high. Yeah, will go up. I don't know why I said high like that, but yeah, your ability to have a soulmate type of relationship is going to be much higher if you move from dependent to social. If you stay independent, then you're going to be, you know, especially if you go with a narcissist, the antisocial, or the obsessive personality type as a partner, you know, you won't get that soulmate energy because that partner is gonna see you as like a person, like a whole person. So you won't be like this. You won't be on the same page about everything. You won't be able to like finish each other's sentences and things like that. Yeah. let's go through this. We got the Chariot. So again, it's kind of like what I'm saying about like building up your confidence, your autonomy. Can you exist without a person? If you're dependent, you're likely kind of moving from person to person, and if you're not with a person, you're gonna feel really like kind of messed up. We also have the Child of Swords. So this has to do with a lot with your like kind of openness. Like you're not, you don't have like no boundaries. I would definitely, with the Chariot too, I would like work on your boundaries, or just be really radically accepting of yourself, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna be like, stepped on, and that's that gets me hot and bothered. You could be like that. I don't know. Well, I do know there's lots of people who are like that. So, if you think that you're alone in that, you're not. And I do think that it's promoted a lot, especially like on porn and things like that. You know, with the Six of Pentacles, again, you're going to be very giving, very accommodating. So again, if you level that up and you emphasize on your willingness to accommodate and stuff like that, you can get a little into borderline. Yeah, you can get into a little bit of borderline. Borderlines can be self-harming as well. So, you could, I would say be careful if you're changing anything. Know what you're changing to. Know when you've changed the level in which you want to change to. You're gonna go through. You're gonna go through social first, and then you're gonna get into borderline, and then you're going to get into histrionic at the very top. That's when the extroversion. That's when your confidence is like kind of through the roof. Yeah. And then we also have the Five of Pentacles. This is a little bit like, do you like, it really depends on if you want things, I suppose. If you're dependent, you're not going to get anything unless it's given to you. If you're borderline, you can make demands for it. If you're histrionic, you'll just wait for the things that you deserve, basically. And I would say be careful with that too, because if you're dependent and you're trying to get in, if you're dependent and you're gonna move into like borderline, let's just skip social real quick, because that's kind of like I think you're gonna feel exactly what that feels like if you get there. So if you are trying to move into a different personality type, and you get to borderline, that's when you're going to have like really difficult relationships. Okay. If you get into histrionic, you're going to have a lot less relationships than you did before, because you're going to start being picky. All right, so you're going to be spending a lot of time alone. So you can decide if you want. You can decide like, oh, I'd rather have like a very similar amount of relationship, like maybe going from relationship to relationship to relationship, but it's going to be really dynamic, really like, I was going to say passionate, but more a little bit like stressful. But if you want to avoid stress, then you might spend a lot of time alone. So that could be a shock to your system if you're used to being with other people, as a dependent. So yeah, if you're dependent and like, oh, I would love to be more histrionic and like all showy and flashy and stuff like that, you are gonna have to spend a lot of time alone. You are gonna have to spend a lot of time alone. It's like kind of being like on stage by yourself. It's gonna be the feeling. Like you're not gonna have like a co-star or anything like that. And if you do, it's going to be after a long period of not having anyone else on stage to practice lines with, basically. I feel like there's so much I could say to a dependent personality. So if you're watching this and you are a dependent personality, feel free to leave a comment if you feel comfortable. I think there's messaging on YouTube. You could send me a message and I can answer your questions as best as I can. I'll definitely answer them as best, and I mean as best as I can. I do a lot of research. like, it won't be like a self coaching thing, because I'm not really hand holdy like that, but I will provide you with the information I have, and then you will have to do the work. Again, you're not going to be able to avoid the feeling of being alone, especially if you're working to increase your extroversion for you, particularly with this particular personality type. If you're not worried about any of that stuff I just talked about, then I would definitely suggest moving towards an obsessive personality type. It does seem like the obsessive personality type is a personality type that I'm suggesting for a few different personalities. They seem, I think, for you and an avoidant, or for a dependent and avoidant, I think that obsessive is going to be a good match. Because again, they have limits. If you are, you're an adult, and if you're not looking for something with limits, then you can choose narcissistic, or you can choose antisocial. Um, yeah, if you want to stay dependent and you're lucky enough to find a schizotypal, then that's fine. I would definitely. Again, I don't suggest dating in a mental health facility, but you'll probably find a schizotypical there. Um, or any like kind of like weird person in your neighborhood. You could just be like, and they'll often come out of their house and look weird, and look like, not like me weird, but um like just rolled out of bed. Yeah, weird. um you know you know and they'll likely be friendly to you, so don't be afraid to be like, hey, how are you doing, blah blah blah. They'll probably make friends with you really quick. It's going to be a little bit of a long game, because they're going to need your trust and not think that you're part of the matrix or anything like that, but I think you can do it. You definitely seem like you've endured a lot anyway, so why not a little bit of time courting somebody. um if you're not comfortable, you might not be comfortable with that due to low extroversion, low confidence, or whatever. But if you are feeling a little frisky one day, that would be a good way to start it. You will have to continue that. They probably will forget you a few times before they start getting familiar with you. Um, yeah. I think that's all I have for you. Again, I mean, and for anybody, even if you're not dependent, or any of the other ones that I talked about, even if the other ones I haven't done a video on, and you're like, maybe you want to know which one you are, maybe I should do a video that said, like, I wanted to get through the other personalities first before I did a video on like what personality type are you. But I do think that the DSM-5, and also you can take an online test for the Big Five, and you can see a chart of like your levels of extroversion, agreeability, conscientiousness, and openness. Um, I would, just focus on the extrovert. Oh, and neuroticism. Just focus on the extroversion and the agreeableness, and that should give you a pretty good idea where you are. I might make a chart of some sort. Maybe I'll post that, so that you can see the levels. But these are kind of like pretty straightforward. None of them really overlap too much. I don't think there are some distinct differences, so I think that you'll be able to determine which one you are. But yeah, if you have any questions about on which one, if you had any more questions about who you are, or you had questions about your relationship dynamic, or if you're in a current relationship, or maybe you need some advice on like what to look for, or where to go to meet like a partner that's compatible according to my personality, I'll be glad to give you my 2 cents on that. um yeah, if you have any comments on anything, if you have any critiques, I'm willing to hear it. You won't hurt my beautiful feelings. Um, because I understand that my personality filters everything through that scope. So I can't possibly see everything, but yeah, I think I got at least a good start to at least give some advice on relationships since they are so really important to me. Um, just the just the concept. I like it. And when I mean so important to me, I hate seeing a couple that shouldn't be a couple and they know it. And I hate it when they tell me that they know it, but they're still going to be in a relationship with them. I hate that because you're literally putting yourself through torture for no reason at all. And I love seeing a couple that's just kind of like just made for each other. They're just made for each other. Even if it is like a narcissistic and a dependent, where it's very dominant and submissive. Like you can tell when two people are happy. You can tell when two people are happy. Even if you're avoidant, you think that I can't tell if you're happy or not, you're dead wrong. All right. If my personality can't pick up on anything, it can pick up on when someone is happy. When there's happiness around, my personality just goes crazy. All right. Okay, yeah, I think that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't enjoy the video, that's completely your choice, and I completely respect it. I hope that you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night. If you do not wish to have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, then that's your choice, and I completely respect it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you.